Go, and it is time for another sprint zone. As always, I'd like to thank Ron Kennedy for his telemetry, and this time for some very special gauges that Ron whipped up. And they have a graph of 30-second power versus 5-minute power. And it's got the numbers listed there. 30-second power to the left, and to the right is the 5-minute power, which I find quite interesting. So today I'm on the gravel bike, and you can see how much power I am spending above like what Ron is expending. Although he might be a little bit better shielded than I am, but you can see that he's using a lot less power. Anyway, the group is looking good. Everybody is in a nice alignment there. We got Kathy and Ed looking strong, just sitting there side by side, just the way it's supposed to be. And we get ready to head into the zone. We have Fred and Marcelo, and they basically just sat on the front for like 5 miles. It means it's nice of them to do that, but we need to be rotating more. So I'm going to call them out on this one. I didn't say anything because I was on the gravel bike and I didn't feel like going to the front. But this is some of the, I'm going to call it poison or curse that we get from other groups where the strongmen just sit up at the front like the entire time. And then people lost the skill of rotating. It's like the whole Top Gun thing. People rely on missiles instead of guns. We're relying on strong people just sitting up there, and it's good. Yeah, you can ride 2x2 for freaking ever, but you need to learn how to rotate. And this is what some of the DNA of the pedigree of this group was about. And it's kind of been just spoiled. And yeah, and maybe it's just the way that groups go. OCR's culture has changed. TTH's culture has changed. And it looks like TFR has a different culture, but I'm still going to rant. In any case, looking good there. Marcelo and Fred, they're not putting out a lot of wattage. You can see I'm sitting in with my 30-second power into the like the 190s, 200s. You know, a little bit of power there, but nothing great. And I'm good with that. I'm on the gravel bike. I'm tired. Everybody else is still with the guns ablazing, brought their 4th generation fighters or 6th generation fighters out. And so I'm just happy to be sitting here. So there we go. Steve Hyland of the OCR group, Sunrise group, also heading off the front. And Danny's quick to be on the wheel. There's no movement here by Fred and Marcelo just yet. Bryce makes the move here. And this is dangerous. With Steve's up front with Bryce, we have a problem. And no one seems to be in any hurry. And Marcelo seems like he wants to do the work. And he's been riding pretty strong this year. And it looks like Fred has decided that he is going to drop back and perhaps save a little bit of energy, because those guys are on the front for a long time. In any case, here we go. We're just like me trying to catch up here, me just trying to get in and get myself a little bit of draft. We're looking at my 30-second power at 270 something. Fred behind me, and the group, there's like, nobody's in any kind of like great hurry. I wonder why my gauge isn't moving. I'll have to go work on that. Maybe I modified it a little bit too much from what Ron gave me. Anyhow, or the software is not that good. I don't know. Looks like the numbers are actually moving a little bit, but looks like something froze. Anyway, back to the action. So we're all on a line here. Like, life is good. I'm sitting in. Looks like my 30-second power. What is it? 140. So it's not horrible. And for the gravel bike, that's not bad. No one, really wants to like do any real attacking. Steve's pulling off here. He is only making this a part of his journey today, so he just joined us for a little bit. Either that or I pissed him off with the speech, but I don't think that is the case. Anyway, he's heading off, and so I am going. So I'm kind of bummed I don't have the Ron camera today. Ron forgot to like turn his camera on or something like that, it's okay. That's fine. I'm good with that. And since, there isn't a lot of play here, and it'll only come to play later. So there's a good shot of Ron in the yellow. Got Kathy riding right behind me in the white shoes and the what's that, teal and purple jacket. It's a little baggy. Although, the winter clothes, it's hard to get slim fit stuff, but she's bleeding off energy. There's a lot of extra surface area there. I wish like Dylan Johnson or somebody would actually do, as part of the aerodynamics, a whole baggy jacket thing versus a smooth, tight-fitting kit, and you'd see how much is being bled off there. Danny at the front, and in a rare moment, when the group is smaller, everybody is forced to do a little bit of work. So Danny pulls off, got a little bit of an echelon there, pulls off to the correct side. That looks good. And Bryce takes over. Fred's sitting in there nicely in front. I'm getting a pretty decent draft here. Not a lot of power is being like expelled, which is good in my 30-second in the 160s. Instantaneous. Look at that, 400 for a while. It's a little bit much, but when you have the big heavy wheels of the gravel bike, regardless of how light they are, the frame is heavy. The bike weighs like, I don't know, 23 pounds. Not really up to what it takes to be competitive here. So Fred decides he does not want to go to the front and do anything. Savvy move, either that or he's tired. And it's hard to believe the posturing that he normally does. Like, I can't believe he's actually going back, but it's a tactically good move not to be doing all that work. Marcelo seems to be wanting to do a lot of work lately. He pulled, along with Fred, pretty much most of the ride so far, and he's happy to be in second place. Me, I'm sitting here, my 30-second power, way over 300 at this point. So we are working pretty hard. Looking at the 5-minute power, Ron's is a lot less than mine. You can see how much better, you got a road bike versus a gravel bike, and sitting back further, how many extra watts I am forced to shell here. Marcelo at the front, just going hard. Now Ron finally moving up a little bit, pushing himself away towards the front and away from those who would be gapping him off. I'm kind of dreading going to the front here. I'm on the gravel bike. I shouldn't even be up here. I should be sitting in, and sitting in further, because the second person doesn't get that much draft. You can see my 30-second power. It's not bad in 150s, instantaneous around 200, and now the grade. This is when I'm going to be in a little bit of trouble. I start to stand up a little bit here to get a little jump on what's going to take to stay with the pack at this point. And I know that this is an inflection point, so people normally want to go at this point. But my instantaneous was around, 350, and Ron takes over here. You can see his power rising, 370, 400 watts for the 3-second power, 30-second power. He's like 290, and still, if you look at the overall 5-minute power, I am like a good 40 watts above what Ron has expended for the last 5 minutes, and that adds up. So now I'm drifting back, hoping to sag back to get myself a little bit of recovery here. I neglected to put the heart rate monitor on because I was in a hurry, so I don't really have that. But we have power, and that's good. So I'm near the back, and everybody's looking pretty strong. Ron doing well there. Instantaneous power, above 250. And you can see his 5-minute power creeping up, still nowhere near mine. So if you're counting energy expenditure, this could be what really hurts people later on in the ride. And this begs off to one of my pet peeves, one of these groups that just do 2x2 forever and don't rotate. The strongmen will sit at the front. It's a crosswind. And those people that are on the windward side are expending a lot more wattage. But in these other rides, no one's really cognizant of what the other riders are doing. They don't really care about keeping the group together. It's all about swinging your Johnsons around and dropping people. And I'll see strong men sitting in the shelter while there are those that they know are lesser in the wind, and there's no courtesy to allow them to get some shelter. It's all about mine's longer than yours, and I'm going to show you when the time is right. In any case, I digress a little bit, and Ron's still at the front. No, or is it Bryce at the front? Yeah, Bryce at the front. Ron's in second. Looks like maybe Marcelo's way up there doing some work. And this is where the Ron cam would be very useful. So this little inflection here, I have to try to stand up just a little bit here. I want to keep my momentum. Those big heavy wheels don't do well. And there's always a slight little deceleration as the people up front sometimes slow down a half mile an hour. But I can't have that. And now you got the separation here. It looks like Kathy, and she can go forever. She's got great durability, but she's unable to stay with that. And there was a little acceleration here, which cost me more wattage than I could have or really wanted to expend. I could have pushed on a little bit, but I'm like, no, I just don't feel like it. In any case, pretty much game over for me. Rick comes by. I'm back at the caboose. I'm going to sit on Rick for a little while. And you can see the group up there slowed down just a little bit. Because looking at Ron's power, it's okay, he slowed down just a tiny, tiny bit. And because there's no doubt that little acceleration, nobody's wanting to like take up the mantle. I'm expecting probably Bryce is the one up front doing some work. Maybe Fred has recovered at this point. In any case, it's probably no, it's not probable. It is game over for Rick and I. So I'm not even gonna like make you guys sit through the rest of this. And we're gonna like fast forward this a little bit. You know, you can see Rick and I struggling here, and we'll get to the end, and we'll see who won this one. I really wish people would stay in order when they turn around so I'd know. But maybe Ron, Fred, Bryce on that one, something like that. Anyway, those are the strong men for that one, and that was good. And what can I say? Nice job, everyone. Fast forward a little bit, and here we got a little bit of. Well, I was thinking about doing like all three of the sprint zones. I'm like, okay. Unfortunately, the camera ended in the middle of the second sprint zone, but maybe I'll give you a little bit of that anyhow. So, most people are in a decent 2x2 formation on the way here. It took us a little while to get there. There's some folks up the road, and we're kind of chasing. Like, this is supposed to be my recovery, but looking at my watch, my 30-second watch is still 160, etc. As we're trying to bring people back, I forget who was up the road and kind of pushing it a little bit, but there was somebody up there. And let's fast forward just a little bit here, because you know they're gonna get an idea. The group is fairly well behaved here. You get a little section of pavement that's kind of abrupt here, and we make it into the bridge section as we're going to head into the second sprint zone, which I have a little bit. Might do a second video on that one. Wasn't really that interesting from my point of view, but we'll take a look at the cornering and see what happens here. You know, my 30-second power is finally going down a little bit. Looks like Ron and my 5-minute power are still closer. Mine's actually a little less than his since he did a little more work on the way down. Here we go. We make the corner. I can't see who's up there. I think that's probably like either Fred up front, just like pushing it. And I guess he expects people to, and it's a small group, to come bring him back. And they are. Everyone's kind of like waiting. Yep, Fred's going hard up there, you know, trying to make things happen. Yeah, it's all good. And no one's really violating anything. A couple of folks getting a little far out there, you know, towards the yellow line as they kind of like drift back. They don't want to be up front. That's okay. There's no cars back as we like settle in. And I think this is about all I have, you know, as far as the second sprint zone. If I make the second half of this, you'll see it. If not, a good time was had by all. Peace out, everyone. Until next time. And once again, special thanks to Ron for the gauges.